Okay, well, hello everyone. So I'm Ben, and I'm running the expeditions. Well, I run the expedition company. We work with last year we took away about 2,500 young people, so you're part of that gang now. And so you're doing your bronze expedition, which is brilliant. We're taking away some of the people that were on last year's bronze. They're coming on the silver expedition soon. So the idea of today, you have to move up a little bit more, chaps. The idea of today is I just want to touch base with you really prior to the expedition so that you can be thinking about what you need to do prior to the expedition and so that you've got a bit of an idea of what's going to be happening, okay? So, we're going on 2 expeditions. We're going to do a training and practice expedition and then we do a qualifying expedition. So, I'm just going to quickly flick through some of this stuff. The training will include learning how to put up the tent, which you'll then sleep in, learning how to use the little Trangia cooking stoves, which you'll use, and you'll do obviously some navigation training on that training and practice expedition. So, we will meet at the start point, which means basically you are going to get a coach from the school to the campsite, and we will meet you at the campsite. If you've got your own rucksack, that's brilliant. It needs to be at least 55 litres in size. So that's one of those rucksacks that is like the full height of your back. It needs to be one of those. If you've got your own, that's fantastic. Do not bring it full up because you will have to put in there things like the tent or the Trangia or some of the food, that sort of thing. If you need to borrow one of ours, that's fine. You just bring all your things in a sort of hold-all style bag. That can easily fold down. So don't bring a suitcase, as some people do. Bring it in a sort of fold-all bag that can fold down, and then within your group, all those bags go into one bag, and that will go into our trailer at the campsite. So we'll keep it safe for you, and you can just transfer everything into the rucksack. So, when you get to the start point, we'll sort out all the kit. Now, a few things on kit. So these are the types of rucksacks that we use. So if you can get one of those large rucksacks, that's fantastic. Just a quick show of hands, who reckons they've got one of those rucksacks at home? Good, excellent. So we're going to sort out the kit. We're going to look at food in a little while. That middle picture isn't so clear, but that is way too much food, okay? So you do not, in your group, you do not need a 3-kilogram bag of pasta, for example. All right, so yeah, think about your food. And also, think about your kids. So this young man on the right, bless him, bless his parents, they went online, they wanted to buy him a nice warm sleeping bag. They brought him the warmest sleeping bag they could find online, but they didn't look at the size of it when it was packed down. And so that arrived sort of a couple of days before the expedition. That's all he had, so he came along with that and he carried that for the whole of the expedition. So he did well, but don't make the same mistake. So think about your kit before we go on the expedition, all right? There are some essentials that you will need, so we're going to talk through these very quickly. Ideally, you need walking boots. At the very least, you need decent walking shoes, so trainers that have got a good thick sole with a good bit of grip. Where we're going is in the Chiltern Hills, and it does get really muddy over there. I've had some awful experiences with the chalky mud over there in the Chilterns. So, walking boots are the best thing because they will support your ankles. So, get a pair of walking boots if you can, or some decent trainers. Do not turn up in Converse. Do not turn up in sliders, that sort of thing. Some people bring sliders to wear around the campsite. I mean, you can if you want to, but walking boots or walking shoes. You don't have to buy really expensive walking boots. My advice is buy a cheaper pair of walking boots, but actually buy some proper walking socks. The technology in the walking socks means that you're less likely to get the blisters. So, less money on the walking boots, but do buy walking socks is my advice. You will need a roll mat. You'll need to buy one of those. Don't turn up with a yoga mat. Some people think, oh, it's all right because I've got a yoga mat at home, that looks similar. Yoga mats are weighted because you're doing exercise on them, so they've got quite a bit of weight in them, and you will not appreciate that when you're on the expedition. So get a roll mat. Some people turn up with the little self-inflating mats, that's fine. Some people turn up with a great big airbed, and then they say to me, oh Ben, have you got a pump for my airbed? I haven't got a pump for your airbed. Your lungs would have to be the pump for your airbed if you're going to bring an airbed. So they're not the best things. You will need a sleeping bag. If you've not got a sleeping bag, then you're really looking for one that is a 3-season sleeping bag. Okay, they come in seasons. 4 season is for like full winter. 3 season is enough for you guys. 2 season is for like those very like June and July in the summer. Really is when two season works. So you want to get a 3-season sleeping bag. You will need 2 litres of water. You must turn up to the start point with 2 litres of water. That is not 2 litres of Coke. It's not 2 litres of Lucozade. One boy turned up with 2 litres of milk. What a fool. Okay? So you need to turn up with water or squash. So they're the only 2 things. Now what I would say is, don't turn up with a great big bottle like that. You want to bring little bottles. And actually, so on the rucksacks, you'll have little pockets on the side. Most rucksacks have little pockets on the side. What you really want to do is put your 2 little bottles in your friend's rucksack and have their bottles in your rucksack. And that means when you're walking, instead of like trying to do this, you're just going up to your friend and getting your bottle out of their rucksack. You see, it makes life a whole lot easier. And you will need waterproofs. You will definitely need a waterproof coat and ideally waterproof trousers. Now, some of you are wearing coats now. If you're wearing these sort of North Face jackets, they are not waterproof jackets. They might be water resistant for a little while, but if you're going to spend 6 hours in the rain, they're not going to be waterproof by the end of those 6 hours. So you will need a proper waterproof coat, okay? Good, right. Before we go, these are the things we do right at the very beginning. Let me just quickly go through this. On your training weekend, we'll do this over a period of time. So your instructors will go through a route with you. You'll mark those routes up on your map with little arrowheads. Do you see how this has got little arrowheads? Some people, they come along and they draw a great big thick line along their route. But then that then covers up whether you're walking along a footpath or a bridle way or a road. So you need little arrowheads with your checkpoints marked up with a little circle. I'll talk very briefly about phones, okay? So, we have a phone policy. So what happens on the expedition is this. Your instructor will meet you. Each instructor will have 2 walking groups. So he'll come up to your walking group, and if it's me, I have a bag, and I say, right, all phones in this group go in this bag. And then I'll give it a good shake up like this, you see. And then I pull out 2 phones completely at random. Those 2 phones are the emergency phones for your group. All other phones get turned off, they get put in little plastic bags, and they get sealed with gaffer tape. And your instructors will check that they've not been tampered with at the end of the expedition. The 2 emergency phones, there are 3 reasons for using those phones. The first one is to communicate with your instructor. So either you're phoning your instructor to say, we're a little bit lost, or your instructor is phoning you to say, where are you? Or there's a slight route change, something like that. So it's communication with the instructors. The second usage is photographs and videos. You can take photos and videos. And the third usage is on your qualifier. You do need to do some research on your qualifier. So if you need your phone for that, you can do that. Yes?
In the actual expedition, are there still instructors?
Yes. So on both expeditions, we still work on that ratio of 1 instructor to 2 teams, okay? So they're the 3 reasons for using your phone, nothing else. No music, no navigation, no videos, like watching videos in your tent or anything like that. No calling home. You might as well tell your parents it's very likely that your phone will be the one switched off, so there's no point in them tracking you or anything like that. So they are our 3 reasons. There's only one excuse for somebody having their phone on them, okay? I have it every time. Oh, I need to have my phone on me, and I ask why, and I say no, it's still random. The only people that are definitely allowed their phone on them is if they have got diabetes and their pump is controlled. Oh yes, if their pump's controlled by the phone, okay? So that's the only reason. So you've got your phone up the back there. So that's the phone policy. We'll also talk through your team goal. The team goal is what you're going to be researching. This is for your qualifying expedition, something that you're going to research. It might be that you're looking at different trees and plants and therefore you're using your phone to identify them. It might be that you're writing a poem or a song about your experience and you can present that at the end. It might be that you're going to, your instructor, this weekend I was away and the instructor said, right, your team goal is to give me a talk about leadership. And at the end of the expedition, you're going to talk to me about leadership. So that could be your goal. All sorts of things might be your goal, but you'll discuss that with your instructor at the end. Okay? Happy with that? We will take questions at the end, by the way. Okay, then we start heading out. So, you're going to be walking in groups. Your walking groups, the size is between 4 and 7. Now, that's what D.of.E say. The ideal group size is 6, and this is the reason. If you turn up with 4 of you, if one of you drops out, that leaves 3 people, and we can't have you going off as a group of 3. Because everybody else has followed my advice and come in groups of 6, then you as a group of 3 can't join a group of 6 because that knocks you over that magic 7 number. So what happens is those 3 people, they get split between lots of different walking groups, which isn't ideal. So don't turn up as a group of 4. If you turn up as a group of 5 and somebody drops out, then yeah, you can still walk together, but it's not brilliant. 6 means that we have 3-person tents. So if there's 6 of you, that's 3 in one tent and 3 in the other tent. That means there are 3 of you carrying all of that group kit associated with the tent. So tent, stove, food, there's 3 of you carrying it. If there's like only 2 in a tent because you're in a group of 5 or in a group of 7 and you're having to split into tent groups of 2, then there's only 2 people carrying the tent, the stove, the food. Do you see what I mean? So it's much better that you're in a group of 6. That's the absolute ideal number. And by group of 6, I mean either 6 girls, 6 boys, or 3 boys and 3 girls, that sort of thing. Obviously, we don't mix gender the tent. So, yes. So you'll be walking in your groups. On the Saturday of the practice, your instructor will go for a walk with you. And they will teach you all the navigation skills there on that Saturday. So we're going to meet at the campsite. You'll turn up there by coach. We'll do a bit of training on the campsite and we'll go for a walk and your instructor will teach you navigation skills. On the Sunday, you'll be given what's called a route card, which is a bit of paper explaining the route that you're going to be walking on, and you're going to do a big circular route, meeting instructors at checkpoints along the way. So the checkpoints are every sort of 3 or 4 kilometres and you'll meet instructors along the way. Let's just get through this. Actually, I keep forgetting to do this. So, hopefully you'll find a beautiful spot to have lunch along the way, not by the side of a road, but on the side of a hill, something like that. Hopefully you won't get stuck like this person. Hopefully you won't get blisters. Don't know whether you can see that picture, but hopefully you won't get blisters. You might, these are a few of the animals that we've seen. This was all from 2018. So, let me tell you about this picture. I love this photo of the horse because, if you notice, those girls, I think the fear of God is in their eyes. They look as though they are thinking they're about to die any moment, and yet their teacher, and it was a teacher, so I'm not taking any of the blame here, the teacher is sat in his chair, doesn't give a care in the world, his students are about to get eaten alive by a horse, and the teacher just stays sitting there. So anyway, we'll hopefully see some of those things along the way. Now, let's talk about weather. So, the simple fact is, it's very rare to go through your practice and your qualifier without getting rain. So we pray for sunshine, we really want sunshine, we will probably get rain, we go out in the mist and fog, and we are not expecting it on your expeditions, but we even go out in the snow. So when it was Beast from the East in 2018, which seems like a lifetime ago now, but when we had Beast from the East, we still went and did expeditions. We just stayed in a scout hut rather than actually camping. So we go out no matter what the weather, which is why you need those waterproofs, okay? When we're on the campsite, these These are the tents that we're using. So these are these 3-person tents that we're using. At the campsite, you'll put up your tents. So you'll get back from your walk. Listen up, you'll get back from the walk. You will have to put up your tents. You'll have to put together your little cooking stove, these tranches. You'll have to cook your meal, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but you'll have to cook your meal. The evening is yours. So we don't put on entertainment in the evening. The evening is yours. What I suggest is that within your group, somebody, when you're thinking about the kit that you're going to bring, you need to be thinking, okay, who's going to bring like the Uno cards or the Double cards, that sort of thing, okay? So you've got some kind of entertainment in the evening. Now, Mr. Queen, you need to understand this as well. No ball games, because we had 2 tents broken this weekend from ball games. So, and having just spent £6 grand on new tents, we are not having ball games. So think it through. What are you going to do in the evening when you're sitting around? So that's why Uno or Double fits really neatly in a rucksack, this sort of thing. The campsites have got, all the campsites that we use have got toilets of varying quality. I have to say that's a particularly bad toilet, but yeah, all the campsites have got toilets. They haven't got showers, so don't bring along full stuff to go and get a shower. You just need your toothbrush. Shh, gentlemen, just need your toothbrush, maybe a bit of deodorant. Some people bring along baby wipes and have a baby wipe shower effectively. But yeah, you don't bring along a full shower kit. Okay. Now, so there's a classic campsite scene. We'll be on site and the teachers will be on site as well. And we're there no matter what the weather. So the teachers and us will be on site. But if you notice in this picture in the middle, we're not in amongst the students. So you'll be at one point on the campsite and we'll be at another point on the campsite. So you can easily come and find us, but we're not in amongst you. Okay? I will say this. There are groups that come on D.of.E expeditions that don't pass. It's basically, it is a pass or fail. Well, it's a pass or a defer situation, okay? So, there are what are called 20 conditions that you have to meet for your expedition section. It's slightly changed the wording of it now, but back in the day it was always 20 conditions. So there are 20 conditions that you guys have to meet to pass your expedition. Most of those, actually, about half of them anyway, are met by us because they are things like, is it the right amount of days? Is it in the right sort of location? Are your group sizes correct? That sort of thing, okay? And that's all really down to us. If you turn up and you're in a group of 9, well, actually it's down to us to sort that out, and we'll sort that out. Most people do not pass their expedition because of behaviour. So it used to be conditions 15 and 16, I think it was all around behaviour. So most people who do not pass their expedition is because of behaviour. So I'm just giving you a heads up now. Some people, they don't come on the qualifier because their behaviour was so bad on the practice expedition. Okay, so are we all clear on that? So we took away last year 2,500 young people. I reckon probably in all the expeditions, maybe 10 or 15 people dropped out because they just weren't physically strong enough to do it, or they were ill and they just couldn't manage it. So you do need to get fit. And then there was probably another 10 or 15 that didn't pass because of behaviour. Now officially, it is the whole walking group that either passes or gets deferred. That's the official line. So if somebody in your group is messing about and you have a particularly strict assessor, your assessor can say, because he's messing about or because she's messing about, that's it, I'm deferring the whole group. Okay? Clear on that? Good. It's my bad cop little bit, which comes out every so often. All right. So day 2 will be more walking. They are very badly packed rucksacks, and you will get sent some training notes.
Yeah, they're going out on Friday.
Okay, so the training notes. You'll get some training notes. You need to read through them. Actually, I'll send you, because I've just revamped them slightly, so I'll send you. The training notes, you need to read through them. It's quite a long document. It's really helpful if your parents read through them as well, because I know how involved they get in terms of preparing you for it. There are links to 2 videos. Gentlemen at the back, listen up. There are links to 2 videos on there in the training notes. You must watch both those videos. One is about packing rucksacks. It's quite short. The other one is how to use these little trangia stoves. That's about 20 minutes, so make yourself comfortable. But you will need to watch both of those videos. It's really important that everybody watches it. So if you've got a walking group and some of those people are not here tonight, you need to make sure that they are all up to speed with those videos, okay? Good. Day 2, more walking. We get to the finish. It's not over at the finish until we have dried the tents. So that's part of the expedition is you looking after your kit. So either at the finish point or somewhere along the way, but it's usually at the finish point, we'll be putting the tents up to dry. You'll have to do a debrief with your instructor. At the end of the training and practice expedition, that's where your instructor is really chatting through with you about what you're going to do differently. The whole point of doing training and practice is that you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes. Okay, so it's plan, do, review at the end of that practice, and then it's plan, redo, re-review at the end of the qualifier. And then, you guys are coming home on the coach, but hopefully your parents will be loving to you when you get home, and we'll have a fantastic meal for you set up and all this sort of stuff. Now, Mr. Thomas, could I just pull up that other, that other thing that was on there?
I can do it. Do you want to see if there are any questions?
Yeah. So, any questions at this point? Yes.
What is the group goal thing? What actually does that involve?
So it's basically you guys have got to research something whilst you're on the expedition, whether you're chatting about it or researching it. So I said earlier, it's things like you can identify different plants, or you might have a topic to discuss and present, or it might be that you look at fitness levels within your team. So it might be that you choose one person to be your guinea pig, and at different points during the day, they have to do 10 sit-ups, 10 press-ups, and 10 star jumps, and you time them to see how long that takes at different points. So lots of different things, but you can chat that through with your instructor. You are next, and then we'll come to some of you. Oh, good question. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So, let's talk about timings. We expect you to be in your tents at 9:30 and quiet at 10 o'clock. So we are expecting the whole campsite to be quiet at 10 o'clock. They are usually campsite rules, but it's also because we'll be getting you, you guys will be getting up at 6 a.m, not before, okay? So you go to the toilet and you don't get out again until 6 a.m. We don't expect anyone out of their tents until 6 a.m, but we'll be getting up at 6 so that we can walk at 8. Any other questions? You had a question, young man.
Frisbee count as a ball?
Frisbee does count as a ball, yes, because my tents are expensive. Yes?
What is this walk alongside with the groups on it?
No.
Or just meeting at the checkpoint?
Yeah, just meeting you at the checkpoint. So the only time we'll walk with you is on day 1 of the practice expedition. If you've got an instructor walking with you on day 2 or on the assessed expedition, it means you're not really getting it. So you need to really try and get it before then. Any other questions?
Can I
Good.
say something quickly to them?
Yeah.
You want to
And then I want to talk through this bit.
No, go on, you go for it.
Okay, so very quickly. Now, actually, so you will need to watch the video as well of this, so that you get this up, or just make note of this. So you've got to do some planning prior to your expedition, okay? Now, the training video that I mentioned earlier on in the training notes will talk through food, but you, as a walking group, need to decide on the food that you take. So let's talk through it. Day 1, you must have breakfast at home. Do not turn up when your instructor says, what have you all had for breakfast? Don't say, I've had an orange juice. It's all right, I've had an orange juice. You need to have a nice big breakfast at home. You've got to have some fuel in your belly, okay? Then for lunch, listen up. For lunch, you need to bring a packed lunch for day 1. Try and make everybody else in your walking group jealous of your amazing packed lunch, okay? Think it through. How can you make other people jealous of your packed lunch? Then in the evening, now let's talk about the evening meal. You will get, in your walking group, let's say your group of 6, you will have 2 tents, and each walking group will get 2 tranches, which are these little stoves. they're a 1 burner stove. You'll see them in the training video. But effectively, that means as a walking group, you've got 2 burners and 2 saucepans, really. You need to decide, are you going to cook as a tent group and just have pasta and a sauce? That's what a lot of people do, okay? So have pasta and a sauce, but we are from Latimer Upper School, so we're slightly above just pasta and a sauce. So we can have pasta and a sauce with some olives or some chorizo or some grated cheese. We can have some Pringles on the side, all that sort of thing, okay? Now, if you really want to impress,
Year 9,
listen up.
let's keep listening, please.
If you really want to impress, then what you could have is, in one of your tranches, you could have some boil in the bag rice cooking. So, and I'm saying boil in the bag because you don't want to have the hassle of bringing a sieve. You just put the bag of rice in the boiling water, and then you pull it out when it's cooked, and then you just open up the bag and pour it over your plates. And then in the other one, it could be that somebody in your team at home has made a delicious curry or bolognese or something like that, and that you're effectively just reheating the bolognese in the other pan. Okay? So you could have that. And then, heating above your tranche of boiling rice, you could have your naan breads or your pita breads, that sort of thing, just warming up over there. Doesn't that sound good? So watch the video, but that's the evening meal. I'm going to take questions in a minute. So day 2, for breakfast, it's always a little bit tricky. You could have brioche, croissants, cereal bars, that sort of thing for day 2. Some people bring the porridge pots. So I wouldn't bring normal porridge to make up in your pan. That's a bit of a hassle. But just having a porridge pot you can add hot water to, that's great. Then you can either have packed lunch for day 2, so you bring along a second day's worth of packed lunch, or if you bring a loaf of bread, that's going to get really squashed in your rucksack. But pita bread or wraps, they're quite good in rucksacks. So this is delicious, but I get a pita bread, I get a tin of sardines, open them up, put them in the pita bread, roll it all up, eat it. It's all running down my chin. It's delicious. I love it. So, or some people, gentlemen at the back, listen up. Some people, they'll cook their evening meal, they'll wash up, then they'll cook some pasta, and they'll quickly knock up some pasta and pesto, and then divide it between everybody's packed lunch boxes. So on day 2, they're effectively having a cold pasta salad for lunch on day 2. And then in the evening, you'll get home in the evening. Make sure you have your choice of meal, but you need to put that in before you go. So famously, my eldest daughter, when she did her bronze practice, she came home. I'd cooked this amazing roast dinner. She loves her roast dinners, so I thought, this is great. I'll cook her a nice roast dinner. Cooked her a lovely roast dinner. Did ask her to lay the table, admittedly, which is a bit unfair, but she then burst into tears because she'd spent the whole weekend talking with her mates about Domino's pizzas, and they just wanted Domino's pizzas, and I had this massive roast dinner. So now we have Domino's pizzas whenever any of our kids come back from expedition. So just make sure you put in your order before you go. And then there are these things that are the essentials, okay? Chaps in the middle, listen up. These essentials, we don't need 6 boxes of matches. So not everybody needs to bring a box of matches, but 1 or 2 people do need to bring matches. 1 or 2 people do need to bring tea towels. Somebody needs to bring a sponge and a Brillo pad. It's all on the kit list, but you need to work out who is bringing this stuff. Now, I would suggest that you have some kind of communication group within your walking group. So whether that's WhatsApp or a Snap group or whatever it is that you do these days, who knows. But if you, some kind of communication that you can discuss it so that prior to the trip, you are saying, right, these are the people, you're bringing matches, you're bringing the tea towel, you're bringing the washing up liquid, that sort of thing. Okay, there were some questions. Yes?
Do we bring all of this food in?
Yes, you've got to bring your own food, so you've got to organise your own food. Up the back, yes?
Are there limited foods like nuts?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, you need to work that out within your team.
No nuts.
Yeah, we'll just say
Nothing
no
can have
peanut,
nuts.
no nuts, okay?
Other than that, you're fine, but you can't have nuts.
But I'd also say within your team, if one person's a vegetarian and you're cooking together, it's best just to all go vegetarian for that weekend. And then just behind you, and then I'll come over there. Oh, that's a good question. listen up, because that was a very good question. I want you all to hear. There are some definite no-no foods, okay? Definite no-nos. Steak, Bacon, no. Basically, the pans, listen, the pans are not non-stick pans, all right? So just very thin metal. You will, if you bring steak, I wholeheartedly assure you, you will then spend hours at the sink. I mean, well, when I say hours, a long, long time with a scouring pad. And if you don't bring your own scouring pad, then it's with your sponge, which will take even longer, cleaning that pan. So, no steak, no fried eggs, no scrambled eggs, no bacon. You'd bring along something, pasta and a sauce, but something very, very saucy is what you need to bring along, okay? And also, just to be very clear, no noodles and no pot noodles. All right? Good. Yes? Then you'll have gone to the bathroom before 9:30, so your bladder is nice and young. It's not rusty anymore. It's not rusty, so you'll be absolutely fine to get all the way through the night. Yes? No, because that's a waste of weight. Yes? No, because that's very similar to steak and it's not saucy.
Okay.
So,
I'm just going to take over there because we've kind of got a theme of questions. I think you've got a bit distracted by food because you all like food. That's not a problem, but you need to remember the kind of notes I've got down here to reiterate what Ben's saying. Do not underestimate the distance you're going to walk. Okay? You are going to do some serious walking and you are going to be carrying weight with you. Everything you bring, you carry. So if you want to try and bring epic amounts of food, you are going to be carrying all that food with you. And I promise you, at the end of every expedition, and we've worked together now for, I don't know, 7 years or something like that, there is a mound of food that you have not consumed. It wants to be simple, easy, and high in calories. You are going to be tired when you get back. It's not like you've just sunned yourself next to a pool and then you're cooking up a meal. Yeah? You're not going to be waking up fresh as a daisy and thinking, let's pop on a full English. You are getting up when the sun gets up, basically, because it's going to shine through the tents. You are then going to cook up a simple, high-calorie food like porridge. You're going to have to pack all of your stuff back into a tent. Everybody hates doing that. It's going to be wet. Your stuff's going to be everywhere. You're going to pack it all back up. You're going to have to lift up these heavy bags, and you're going to have to do the same, if not more, distance the next day. You are not on like an activities week where you are going around London trying out food venues. You are walking through the countryside, and you are cooking on small stoves. And when Ben is saying about cleaning them, every year students try and sneak back in because they brought the wrong food, pans that are covered in burnt food, and they are sent back when they are tired, when you want to be getting on the first bus, because the first people back that have kit that is properly done and have passed all the expectations get on the first bus. Sometimes there's an hour and a half between the first bus and the third bus because they can't clean the pan. And it's like, oh, surely this pan's clean. Absolutely it's not. You're an idiot. You didn't listen to the advice. Get back, go and clean it properly until it comes back. Because I can tell you what, if you open your pans and they are dirty, you'll be going straight back to Ben saying, can I have a different pan, please? So he has to make sure they are clean. And me and Miss Thomas obviously make sure, because you're representing us, that you hand back clean pans. Pasta, ideal. Hot chocolate, great. Little pots of porridge, really good. Yeah? Reheating things like curries and bolognese, they're saucy, perfect. Still make a nice meal, but you are not cooking up a full English. All right, so get that out of your mind right now. Questions, Leo?
like the Wayfarer meals. I don't mind them. They're not as nice, but we don't mind them.
Luca? Yeah. Quite a lot of the time you might find places along, but the reason we have 2 litres, so you've got enough water during the day, but your instructors bring extra water, I bring extra water. If it's like a boiling hot day, we've done it before when it's like, what, 26 degrees on one of them, maybe it was hotter. we met and refilled your water. You won't get dehydrated, but you make sure that's not a problem.
There's water at the campsite.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course there's water at campsite. Yeah.
How many kilometres approximately do you walk in a day?
It's somewhere between 15 and 18 kb. So around, basically, from the moment you start, you shouldn't be getting into camp until 6 hours later. Now that includes breaks, but it's on timing, but it works out as about 15 to 18 kilometres each day.
It's a good walk.
Yeah.
You won't come back and think, oh, that was much easier than I thought. Yeah.
Can I bring a camera?
Yeah, I don't see why not, but be aware it might get broken. If it's raining, you want it in a waterproof bag, that kind of thing. Yeah.
You need to bring plates or anything?
For you to put some stuff, yeah, paper plates work well. That's a good question for all of you. You can bring, like, some people bring little picnic sets, but paper plates is fine, yeah.
What sort of noodles?
They don't give you enough energy. So if you look at a packet of noodles and a packet of pasta, the pasta has way more energy, way more calories. So that's why noodles are no good. And they're disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to discuss with your group. It's on my points here. The no nuts. We had somebody who, had an EpiPen for nuts, and their group brought peanut butter sandwiches. Yeah? Peanut butter is nuts. Yeah, don't be that stupid. It's got nuts in it. It's just avoid nuts. I know they're really good in terms of energy. Your parents might want you to bring them. Don't bring them. Okay? Because if you have an anaphylactic shock when you're out and about, it's a much bigger deal than just not having nuts and choosing something else that has no nuts.
But this is where you plan as a group, as a walking group, and it might be that you plan a meal for the whole walking group, or it might be that you plan a meal just for your tent group. So if you're vegetarian and only like the people in your tent want to go vegetarian for that weekend, then the others might still want to have a bit of like meat in their meal. That's fine. They can have their trangia and cook, and you guys can have your trangia and cook. Okay?
I'm going to quickly run through my points,
Yeah.
and then I'll get back to you if you want to ask Ben some questions. Groups. Ben went through groups. Just a reminder that I and Miss Snooks decide the groups. So you can ask for a group, but you are not guaranteed that group. We will be sorting the groups out. And in that sense, you've got to really try and include each other and think about how you can make it work if there's, say, 8 or 9 or more of you that want to be together, as opposed to just excluding anybody. If I hear about things like that happening, if there's anything in terms of unkindness, one, it's part of D.of.E that you work together and it's teamwork. Two, I don't want to bring people like that on an expedition. There are 140 odd of you. It's very easy to start moving people out if they can't meet basic requirements like being nice to each other. I talked about distance, don't underestimate it. Weather, please look at it. I'll probably put something out, but you can all look at weather yourselves and your parents can look at it. Ben made some really good points about types of jacket and types of clothing. There are reasons, there are technical clothing for things like camping. So that's like fleeces as opposed to hoodies like I'm wearing now. These are rubbish. If it rains, they get heavy, it is cold, you're going to have to carry it, you can't do anything with it, you don't want to wear it the next day if it's been raining on a Saturday, and you've got to do something with it. Whereas a fleece, you can hang it out, you can wring it out, it dries really quickly. Light clothing, a shell jacket. I've had people turn up in like huge like Parker bombing jackets. Yeah? If it's too hot and you're walking along, you've got to take that jacket off, you've got to put it somewhere. You can't just leave it behind. So if you have a shell jacket, just like a thin outer layer, you just scrunch it up and you chuck it in your bag. Look at the kind of stuff that is sold for camping and pick that, because it is designed that way for a reason, as opposed to thinking it's some sort of fashion parade. I promise you there will be people dressed so inappropriately on this trip because they haven't thought about it. Yeah? I've had people turn up in what's not far off a ballet shoe to walk for 2 solid days and then wonder why they literally disintegrate around their feet and they're then walking barefoot on the second day. They went home, by the way, the person that didn't have appropriate shoes, because they don't have shoes. You can't have you walking through the countryside without shoes. So it's common sense.
Can I just very quickly say on that as well? Because every year we have to strap up boots with gaffer tape, because a parent says, it's all right, my walking boots are in the loft. I'll go and get them
Oh my
for
God,
you.
yeah, last year.
Okay, and they disintegrate as soon as they start being used. They've not been used for 20 years. They've sat in a loft, and they just disintegrate as soon as they start walking in them. So we then have to strap them up with gaffer tape or cable ties. So don't borrow someone's boots that have come out of the loft.
If you buy new boots, wear them. Literally wear them around the house. Wear them around, because it's like if you play football, you try on your brand new football boots. You go and play one game, and you've got blisters all over your feet because they haven't softened up yet. And it's exactly the same for any shoe. So wear them. Okay, the last thing, weight. Consider weight. You are carrying this stuff. Try and think about it. Be efficient, and that means you are being clever. All right. You cannot leave anything behind. And the last thing, I think Ben talked about it, but behaviour for me, that's kind of my role in a lot of ways. It's logistics, and then looking after you and dealing with any bad behaviour. If there is bad behaviour, I have a zero tolerance policy. Now there are a lot of you, and I want you to enjoy this. So if anybody cannot behave, then your parents have all agreed that they will come and pick you up and take you away. That has happened previously. Make sure it's not you. When lights are out and we're expecting you to go to sleep, if people are consistently not being quiet and not going to sleep, or I've had people who start watching things or playing things on the phones that you've got out, one, it's an automatic fail, so you're pretty stupid if you do that. Two, if you genuinely consistently keep getting me up, because I've got to supervise you the whole next day, and Ben and his staff up, who have all got to supervise you for the next day, I'll pull you out and I'll call your parents. You're only an hour away, and they're coming to take you away. All right? And then you won't come back on the assessed expedition. I know it sounds harsh, but I want to set my expectations. All you've got to be is nice and enjoy yourself. That's literally the requirement. If you can't be nice, and you can't just enjoy the fact that you're out on this expedition with the whole of your year group pretty much, it's pretty unique in that sense, that we take a whole year group away, then I don't want you on this trip, and you are not welcome. And that also, I can't tell you how lucky we are to have this man, not to give him too much credit, and his staff. They are so good. I've worked in outdoor education for like 25 years. They are top caliber, really nice people that we have spent time finding and we've held on to work with. Almost all of our students end up loving their instructor, and they have like when they see him on the assessment position, it's really exciting that the same instructor is back. You have to show them respect and do what they say. And again, a good way of getting yourself sent home is if you don't show the instructors the respect that they deserve, then I'll pull you out of the group. And they report back to me and Miss Thomas if there's any problems like that. So that's my sort of piece. Hopefully, if you think there's somebody who's going to be in your group and you're like, I know they are going to get us failed on D.of.E, get them to watch this bit of this video, because you will also fail. And you may get sent home, and it might be funny for 5 minutes. I'm telling you, when you're in that car on the way home, it ceases being funny super quick. You also will probably have a meeting with the head and the deputy head, because you represent the school when you're outside of school. And that happens very, very quickly if you can't. Now that is rare, but I do want to make sure everybody understands that. Last questions for Ben, and then I think we're probably pretty much there.
Any more questions? Yes.
When you get in the groups, so you've got to submit them by tomorrow, and I hope to probably have them you'll get a notification by the second week of Easter, so you'll know by then. That'll be last week.
When's the actual expedition?
It's in the letter, so you find the letter and you'll get that.
20th and 21st. You'll be meeting at school at 9:30. There's a letter going out to you all tomorrow and all of your parents.
Yes. Oh, pen knife, no. I don't bring those. I know lots of people think, I'll tell you what often happens is parents go, oh, you're going camping, let's get you a penknife. They cause nothing but problems. The amount of people I've had to take to hospital because they've sat whittling a bit of wood and then they've chopped off the end of their finger or something like that. So yeah, no penknives. Yeah. The checkpoints are, it's sort of about an hour's walk between each checkpoint. So, and then you get a little bit of a break. So, yeah. Yep. It'll take you 2 hours to get your breakfast, to get everything washed, to have those tranches checked, to then go and rewash those tranches because they won't be up to our standard, I promise you, to then bring them back, get them rechecked, get everything packed, and that will take 2 hours. Yeah.